Emma Bowman-Smith, welcome to the interview, and we're going to talk about the True You Hub in a moment, which is a fantastic system, if that's the right word, probably not, but you can explain all about it in a minute. But I want to find out a bit about you personally before we go down that avenue. And you're the founder and CEO of the True You Hub, but what happened before to lead you up to that point?
Oh gosh, we could be here for hours. Okay, so my background is corporate. I worked in the corporate world, eventually running a national sales team. I worked in the service industry, and then I went on maternity leave with child number 6, and my husband was working for himself. He was doing grounds maintenance, having an absolute blast, digging holes, wearing shorts all year round, and loving life. I was on maternity leave with 6 children. Money got a bit tight, and I looked at what he was doing, and I thought, do you know what? I'm really loving this. I think we could make something out of this. So a very long story short, we started our own facilities management company. I didn't return back to work. I loved being at home with the children. And do you know what? 6 kids and a high profile career and traveling a lot just didn't go together. So I cut out that stress. We started our own business, and we established a facilities management company, which my objective was to keep it simple for our clients. It was blue chip. It was very successful. It grew organically. And yeah, it was great fun as well. Then 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I went straight into treatment with that, and I had operations and radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and that was a joy. But do you know what? I thought, if you're going to have cancer, it's an okay cancer to have. My statistics were a 80 to 20% recovery, so that was fine. So got over that, went back to work. I went on a bit of a diet. So I lost some weight. I went on a calorie controlled diet. So I stuck to 1,200 calories a day, which was amazing. And I did lose a lot of weight. But actually, what I worked out quite quickly was that I could probably drink my calories on a Saturday and eat them in a takeaway on a Friday. So it wasn't the healthiest. And then I went for my annual checkup after my Hodgkin's with my consultant, and I'd had scans for my annual checkup, and he said, "Oh my God, this is amazing! You're in remission. Everything's clear." And I said, "Oh, great! So if I'd found a lump, then that would have shown up if it was anything." And he went, "No, it's not quite like that." So I was fast tracked again through the healthcare system, and it turned out that I had early stage breast cancer, which was completely unrelated to the lymphoma. It was on a different side. It was not connected. I put it down to poor genetics, actually, and a bit of bad luck thrown in. So again, I went into treatment for that, came out of that, and actually decided that life was quite stressful with, by that point, I think I had 4 teenagers in the house. And life's always stressful. I love a bit of stress. I love to spin plates.
That sounds very stressful, though, 4 teenagers in one house.
Yeah, it had its moments. It really did. I threw myself back into it. And then I have another small business, which is an online business of business document templates for startup companies and medium-sized businesses. And, what I really wanted to do with that was when we started our business all those years ago, there was no help, there was no support. And I just wanted to be able to help people who were looking to start up a new company or step up from where they were at the moment. But I wasn't, life was busy and I wasn't doing very much with that company. So I approached a business broker and said, I'd like to sell this company rather than just close it down. It's got so much value. I'd like to sell it. And he said, that's a little bit small for us, but we would be really interested in looking at your FM business. To which I replied, no. I've got a plan. And we're not ready to sell yet. I mean, we were always going to sell at some point, but no, we're not ready to sell. And he said, well, look, what have you got to lose? Let's just put it on the market and see what the interest is. So I agreed because, I'm a bit nosy like that and just wanted to get a feel for it. And around that time, I had unfortunately started to go back in for tests because I'd found some lumps on my collarbones. And it turned out that I had my early stage breast cancer that I'd previously had metastasized into my lymph nodes. And I had quite invasive metastasized breast cancer at that point. So I went through another series of operations. I had intensive chemotherapy that time and radical radiotherapy. I contracted sepsis twice during my journey. And yeah, it was really difficult. But two things had happened. Number one, we'd started the business sale. And the interest in the market was phenomenal. And because I'd just been diagnosed with cancer again, we said, do you know what? Let's just do it. Life is too short. And do we really want to be doing what we're doing for another 5 years? And actually, the answer was no. So however hard a decision it was, we decided to sell the company that we built up.
Okay.
The other thing that had happened was that a couple of years previous to that, I ditched my 1,200 calories a day because even I thought that's not really very sensible. And I'd embarked on a nutritional ketogenic weight loss plan. And I lost 5 stone in 7 months, which you may think is a lot of weight really quickly. But actually, when you find the right thing, if your body's ready, it will shed and it will shed healthily. Now, when I was going for tests, when they discovered I had cancer again, I had, at one point, my team sent me for brain scans, bone scans, organ scans, any sort of scan you could imagine, because when they realized how invasive the cancer was in my lymph nodes, they expected it to have spread throughout my body and in particular to my organs and to my brain. But all the tests came back completely negative. Now, my medical team put that down 100% to the healthy eating plan I had adopted 12, 18 months before that.
Wow.
And there's a lot of research currently happening with ketogenic eating that demonstrates that, the hype has been in the past that it can eradicate diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And there is research going on for all sorts of areas, and cancer is one of them. That, I won't bore everyone with the science of it, but basically, the effect that it has on your cells and the way your body then works, it can be hugely beneficial.
Do you think the other way around, if you eat the wrong things, then you're more likely to get cancer in some form?
Well, do you know what? Because I don't sit still for very long. So I'd been diagnosed with cancer. We were selling the business, and I was fascinated by the fact that that essentially I'd saved my own life. So just before I started my chemotherapy, actually, I signed up to for study, and I signed with the College of Naturopathic Medicine to become a qualified health coach, because I wanted to learn more. I had this desire to learn more, and also I knew I couldn't sit in my sickbed for a year and do nothing. Yes, this was one of the things, Tony, that really interested me, and that was the impact that what we put into our bodies actually has on us. Now, for me, that falls into two distinct categories, and that is what we eat and what we think. But focusing on what we eat, cancer, if we take that, because that's what we're talking about, only 95% of cancers are genetic. Most cancers are environmental, so they are affected. And it takes between 8 and 40 years for a tumor to grow. But what we eat, what we drink, how we live our lives has a massive effect on our health. And I know that sounds so obvious, but I always had this disconnect between, how I was living and my body. I always measured it based on what size jeans I could get into, as opposed to what my genes inside were doing to me. And yes, I do believe that very much so now that if we eat bad foods, we can get sick.
Okay, tell me about the True You Hub then, which isn't just another diet, is it?
Absolutely not. So when I went on when I started my journey 3 years ago, I guess, my primary aim was to lose weight. Throw all of the issues that I had with my health into that, and all the light bulb moments I had in terms of the impact it was having on my health. But I also went on a huge well-being journey, and it was really holistic for me. So I lost my weight very quickly. I got down to a size I hadn't been since I was in my 20s, or maybe even lower than that. And I didn't feel the person I thought I'd feel. I thought that life would click into place. This is what I'd always wanted. My weight had yo-yoed over the years. I've been chronically overweight. I've been severely underweight, but on the whole, I've always wanted to be a certain size and weight, like most women, actually.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the person I thought I'd feel. And I found this really fascinating, actually, that what is missing? What more can I do? I've proved that I'm healthy. And this is healthy for me because of the response to my cancer. I've proved that I can get into the size jeans that I want to get into. What is missing? And I'd already been on a bit of a journey anyway of self-awareness and self-love. And I started to research. Now, research is my thing. I started my career a million years ago in psychology. That was the foundations where I started. And that's a whole other story, how I go from psychology to sales in the security industry. But there you go. And so I started to research, and it became really clear to me that we have to focus as much energy on our health as we do on our mind. But it isn't just about our mind. If we just focus on our mind, then what about the stuff in here? What about the heart stuff? What about the self-love? And if we then are going that deep, what about our spirituality? What about all the baggage we bring with us and take with us through life? And what does that mean in the greater scheme of things? And when you're faced with your own mortality, you start to look a little bit further than what you can see in front of you. Mm. So I did a lot of research, and what became really clear to me, and through my own experiences and talking to thousands of different people, was that actually we need to be looking at all of these things to feel whole. And then I was introduced to the works of Robin Sharma, the amazing motivational coach and speaker. And he talked about the 4 pillars of wellness, and it went, bing! That was it. That was exactly what I had found. And what Robin did was he went, this is what it is, guys. And he gave it a name. And that's not new, and that's not unique to Robin Sharma's teachings. What he has done is he's labelled it. So that was it. The True You Hub was born. I had a huge passion and a massive desire for women all over the world to feel the excitement that I felt at finally becoming whole, and to feel the excitement that all of these other women that I'd researched and read about and read studies on were feeling. And, you know, we all think it's unattainable. We all think we need to dedicate hours of our lives and go on retreats every other month, or we don't. So I wanted to, I sat in chemo wards having chemotherapy, you know, fist pumping and loving life. I was so excited to, yes, I was excited to have the opportunity to still be alive, but the excitement, the passion inside me for actually finding what I believe is the key. I haven't found the key. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that oh, look what I've discovered. But what I wanted was to create something that women could work with and that was realistic. And that is the True You Hub. And that was the excitement that drove me forwards, because I could see that it was going to work.
So it's really a package of all sorts of different aids, help to tackle women's lives as a whole.
Yes. So the True You Hub, let me tell you exactly what it is. So the True You Hub is essentially, it's a community for women globally to become the best versions of themselves. I cannot believe we've got this far through this interview, and that's the first time I've said the best versions of yourself, because that is, you know, that's my strap line. Everyone knows me, sick of hearing it. But yes, for women to become the best versions of themselves. So what we have done is we have broken it down. So we have the hub, which exists and is there as a community, and I'll park that for a moment. But what we've created is the 66-day life change plan. Now, research shows that, most people think it takes 21 days to change a habit, which has been debunked a long time ago. On average, it takes 66 days to change something fundamental within you for it then to become automatic. So we created the 66-day life change plan so that women could spend 66 days changing who they were. And at the end of that, a lot of it would become automatic to them. And within that, we have a nutritionally ketogenic diet plan. And I say diet loosely because it can be whatever you want or need it to be. It can be about weight loss, and it's hugely successful in weight loss, or it can be about nutrition and just nutrition. It's nutritional anyway. And, you know, after the studies I did as a health coach, it was really, really important to me that what we created was a plan that was nutritional. Keto has a really bad rap, actually. And there's a lot of dirty keto plans out there where you can eat, 16 sausages and 15 rashers of bacon for breakfast. But ultimately, that's not hugely nutritional. So we found a really good balance. And what we did with the plan as well is we worked backwards. So I have the most amazing team who have walked a similar path. And we looked at what it was that actually made us 2, 3, 4, 10 years later still successful in the way we lived our lives and the way we ate. And we kind of looked at those things that work and stopped us gaining weight. And we worked backwards from there. And we created a plan that will provide nutritional weight loss, if that's what you want, but it's sustainable and it's livable. And it's not, you go to a wedding, you go out for dinner, you live life. It's not going to throw you off balance. So we have a nutritional weight loss plan at our core, but we are essentially based on the 4 pillars of wellness. So what we do is we address all 4 of those pillars, and we have 8 amazing experts who are all specialists in their field. And they help to guide, teach, and nurture our members through this 66 days. So we give them all of the tools that they need to become the best versions of themselves. And then we have the most incredible support team who will help the ladies, because it is online. It is an online community, and they will help and guide the ladies through every step of their journey, day by day. In terms of the experts, we have a meditation and mindfulness expert. We have a soul awakening expert, focused on spirituality. We have a journaling expert, a sleep expert, a movement, beautiful yoga expert. We've got a food and cooking expert. And we have, or who else do we have? A hormone expert. And there's one more. And I'm going to get kicked for not remembering it. But we have a host of experts, and they are, I know. Oh my gosh, how could I forget that? We have an alcohol cessation expert. Because, and you know what? Alcohol is a big deal. You know, our target audience, I guess, is very loosely, but it's middle-aged women. Because we're the target group that kind of are going, hang on a minute, my kids are growing up, or even my kids are still really small and I can't cope. But where do I go from here? I'm not feeling myself. I'm not feeling like I did 20 years ago. But alcohol has become so normalized in our society. And after coaching and mentoring tens of thousands of women, I can say, without it being a problem for most of those, it was the downfall for most of those when they're trying to get healthy. Because, you know, everywhere we look, there's, you know, a nice glass of Sauvignon Blanc or the craze for gin and tonic now. And yes, it's fine. Yes, we're not saying don't drink alcohol, but, you know, it's about the attachment that you give to that and how much you let it control your journey.
Okay, tell me about these 4 pillars you mentioned earlier on. What do the 4 pillars tell us?
So the 4 pillars of wellness are health set, heart set, mindset, and soul set. And mindset is a really big thing. You know, we're all learning and have been learning in recent years more so about mindset and how we need to work on mindset. It's not a new concept. You know, there are a lot of whether it's about healthy eating and health, or whether it is about weight loss. There's a lot of amazing groups and organizations out there that talk about mindset. But if we just focus on mindset and health, that's not the whole picture. You know, we need to be looking at our heart, and we need to be looking at our soul as well. And that all sounds a little bit woo-woo, but, you know, fundamentally, it enters every single area of our life. You know, we can't operate as children, as parents, as siblings, as, you know, friends, without all 4 of those elements being a part of our lives. So by addressing all 4 pillars, it really is the journey to become whole. And, you know, and it doesn't have to take up, as I said earlier, it doesn't have to take up all of your time. It doesn't have, you can still, oh my goodness, how many plates do I spin? You know, 6 children, a granddaughter, a husband, you know, well, that's 4 plates on its own. And, you know, 2 businesses and an illness and everything that goes on around it. I'm a busy lady, but that was part of the ethos that what we're trying to do is to create an understanding, a skill base, so that women can just chip away at where they are now and reveal that person that they know lies within.
If women take part in this 66-day challenge, how much time, how much commitment is there? Because quite often these online courses take up a lot of people's time. You just mentioned how busy you were. And that could be a problem, couldn't it? How much time do people need to devote or set aside for this challenge?
So it's a really good question. And what we've done is we've worked on a process where we have broken everything down. We've made it as simple as possible. In terms of the time people need to give it, what we are finding and what we found with our members, and we've tested this as well. You know, it's not we haven't just gone, here you go, world. You know, here it is. It's been tested and tested. And what we've found is that, if you were to give it a couple of hours a week, then the changes will happen. And we are currently, the 66-day life change plan is currently run on a closed Facebook group. So, you're in a group with like-minded women. It's a really safe place. What we see is that our members are there pretty much every day. Nearly every member we have is there nearly every day. They're in the group, they're chatting, they're sharing, they're crying. This is a really vulnerable journey for some people. And they're celebrating, they're celebrating their wins. And it's been really enlightening, but also just so heartwarming to see how our communities do come together, and how friendships are made as well. And we have had a lot of women start with us say, I don't have time for this. I don't know. Tell me the bits I need to pick up on. But actually, there they are every day, chatting, sharing, celebrating, crying, and learning. So we've broken everything down. For example, we have an amazing mindset plan, which helps you to identify where you want to be, what you want to achieve, and what habits you have, what the triggers are for those habits, how to focus on them, how to recognize them and break them, and how to learn to love yourself. Now, let me tell you, Tony, that took a shed load of research. That is hours, days, weeks of study and research. And, I can't tell you how many hundreds of studies I read through to be able to create that plan. But we've created it in 4 steps. That's all it is. It's 4 steps. So our members work through it. They do an activity at the end of each step. They do 1 step a fortnight. That's an hour of their time a fortnight to work through that. Yeah. And it will change their worlds. It will change the way. That's a big statement, isn't it? But research shows, we haven't had anybody come back and say that didn't impact me.
I was going to say, what's the feedback so far for the people on it?
Oh, the feedback is incredible. So the feedback has been that weight loss is easy. Weight loss happens quite easily, that it isn't like any ketogenic plan any of our members have tried before. Some of them have never tried keto before. Some of them have years of experience, that it's much freer, it's much easier, but it's having really amazing results. And not just results in weight loss, but really quick results in how they feel, and reduced effects actually on things like keto flu. We've seen less severe effects. I mean, when you first start a ketogenic diet, you can get what's called keto flu, which is as your body adjusts. And again, I won't go into detail, but we have had very few instances of that. In terms of everything else that's occurring in the other 3 pillars, absolutely amazing. The excitement, the buzz in the groups as our experts then start to feed in their knowledge and their expertise is incredible. And we had in our test group, 100% of our test group said that they would recommend the program to friends and family. So I can't ask for more than that.
No, that's very good. And obviously, being a group as well, it helps if you don't feel alone in these things, doesn't it? And you have people to chat to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it is a vulnerable time. We're asking people to peel back layers. And I don't necessarily think when somebody comes into this that they recognize that, and that's just fine. That's perfect. But there will always be a light bulb moment for everybody. And that can often be quite challenging and quite painful. But to sit back and watch how women support women is absolutely amazing. It is just incredible. And it happens time after time after time. It's just beautiful.
Do you think, I have to ask you this because I happen to be a man, Do you think there's a future group just for men, just as there is for just for women?
Yeah, 100%. I always said we can only tackle half the world at a time. So we focused on women. We are a team of women. So, let's work with what we know. And also, I think because, men and women are very different, and we wanted a safe space for our women. We wanted them, if they want to post pictures of themselves in last year's bikini and say, oh my God, look how big this is, we want them to feel safe to do that. Sure. And we also, we get a lot of women saying, oh my God, if my husband wasn't eating deep fried Mars bars every night, this would be so much easier. But, the same goes for men. Men will have their own specific requirements and their own way of doing things. And yes, in the future, it's definitely on the agenda that we will have a life change plan and a hub for men.
Brilliant.
But, let's focus on women.
I can imagine that a lot of partners and husbands will be interested possibly in what their other halves are achieving with you, with the True You Hub. So I can see that they might be interested in that in the future. What would you say to women listening to this interview right now about the True You Hub?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd talk for hours to them about it. So that's a really hard question to be succinct, but then succinct isn't my middle name really. I just would say our values are about integrity and trust. And we are open and honest with our members in everything that we do, because, we are asking them to trust us with a really important path, a really important journey. But, one of our other values is also fun, and it's about having fun. And, we don't want anybody to strip themselves bare and feel really awful and horrible and they might do, but not get anything out of it at the end. Our passion 100% is to help women. I invite anybody from anywhere, and I can't even start to name if anybody who has A, B, C or D, but anybody who is looking, any woman at the moment who is looking to become the best version of herself, if you feel that there's something missing, or you don't feel fulfilled, or indeed you feel like there's something inside, there's you inside, and it's been cloaked for years in whatever it may be, the stress of life, the stress of relationships, the stress of work, whatever it is, and it might not even be stress, it could be, other things as well, then we will help you to chip away and really become that woman that lies within.
Fantastic. It sounds amazing, and that's me just talking as a man, so what do I know, really? But it sounds fantastic. What a great team you have as well to help people. How do people find out more? Where do they go?
They can visit our website, which is www. You don't really need to say that anymore, do you? thetrueyouhub.com. So that's as complicated as it gets. Yeah. We are also on Facebook, the True You Hub. So you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter under the same handle, and on Instagram. Now, sadly, we've had a few issues with Instagram because, I think we all know how difficult Instagram can be. So on Instagram, our handle is the True You Hub 1. So we're pretty much everywhere. But yeah, come and chat to us, ask us questions. You can DM us on Facebook. You can contact us through the website. We've got a zillion different email addresses, so that, we're really accessible. We're really contactable, and we would love to chat and talk to people. And if you want to learn more, then, go to the website. If you've got some concerns or questions, just drop us a line.
Brilliant. Emma, thanks very much for talking to me about the True You Hub. I wish it well. I know it's going to be successful, and I look forward to perhaps a future catch-up to find out how things are going as well in the future.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you so much, Tony. It's been so much fun.
You're welcome.